Good morning, Dibs. I said it again. Craig's going to be so mad. He hates the word dibs. Good morning, Dads in Business. Welcome to the Dads in Business podcast every Monday morning, 7 a.m. Check us out right here. I have an amazing guest today. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to talk a little bit about the mastermind and how amazing that event was. It was pretty freaking incredible. And I see that my mic is a little bit low here. Not sure why. If I can get that up a little bit. You up. How's that for my volume? Much better, probably. I'm going to have to talk louder, too, it looks like. Anyway, the mastermind was amazing. Absolutely incredible. Like, the panel, the emotions, the camaraderie, the support. This group is going to absolutely crush the business world. This is something very, very special. This is a very special flame that was specific, very, very carefully curated by a very small group of people. I mean, I think was it 2 years ago? It was like 13 or 14 people. Just big shout out, Brian Waddell, Danny Laguerre, Craig Morrell. Who am I missing? David Haberfield. They are the four originals that started the group, and they kindled this amazing bonfire, basically, that we're all sitting around at the moment. And I can't express the emotion, feeling of empowerment leaving that event. And boy, I really can't state enough how impactful that all of us in the group have on each other. And again, big thank you for that amazing event. Our next social event is going to be Dogman in a rented theater, a privately rented theater. And thank you to the sponsors. And I'm mad now that I don't have a list of the sponsors. But there's about 5 or 6 individuals who came in and sponsored the event. So it is absolutely free to dads and their kids for Dogman, February 23rd at around 1 p.m. So far, we rented a 40-seat theater, blew that out of the water. Bennett's working on getting more sponsors and then opening it up to a 60-seat theater so that we can get more people in. So, Bennett, thank you, man. Bro, thank you. And I am so glad that we had that conversation and switching it from Led Zeppelin, which is an amazing movie, but I just was thinking that maybe it might be more fun with the kids, and it is. And I think it's going to be great. So hopefully we could get that 60-seat theater, open some more tickets, get you guys in there, start, elbow to elbow, spending that day with our families, getting our kids together. Brian Waddell mentioned in the mastermind that it was really important to him, and it resonated that our kids get to know each other, become friends, grow up together, become amazing business people. You know, whatever they decide to do, that they have that circle of friends, support, the networking, the social bond that we all share already. Today, I have a very cool guest. Now, let me tell you something. My day, my high school, smoked a little weed. I did. I really did. And one of the things that we all said to each other when we were smoking is, why isn't this legal? And then finally it is. And now there's a booming industry around it. Is marijuana bad? Is it good? Who the fuck cares? There's debate, whatever. It's like alcohol, you know what I mean? In my opinion, I think marijuana is a little safer. But he has built this incredible business and is pioneering this exact path to the future. There's what he's created and creating is going to be something that is a staple, in my opinion. And I want to see him go nationwide with this. But he's going to talk more about that in a minute. Justin Frytz is on the show. My man. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hey, Glenn, thanks for having me. I appreciate those kind words.
I'm so excited. Let me tell you, man, I don't want to spoil what I found out about you because we're going to get into it. You're one cool dude. You are one cool dude.
No, I appreciate that. Like most people that know me, I try to be very modest. I'm usually the guy in the corner, just observing a lot. But
Hell, you weren't. No, 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 no. You're being very humble, but yeah, I found some pretty cool pics. Go ahead.
yeah, it is what it is. I like to really just observe a lot of things, and that's how I see a lot of things and patterns and options and how to do things, and it allows me to see things differently than some people. So it gives me a unique perspective a lot, just to stand and observe.
So I'm noticing on my Facebook dashboard that we might be a little laggy here, so I want to double check that before I go. So I'm gonna just jump in real quick because the other thing that we had in um not seeing jump in.
I'm gonna try on my side, see maybe I have some
Hey, I see Jeff. All right, I don't. It's everything seems to be really laggy, which I'm not sure why it's happening. Hoping that my internet is okay and clean. We did have this snowstorm, so I'm hoping it's not laggy, but that's it.
Yeah, let me see if I can
Jeff,
do
I see you
something.
there. Thank you for jumping in. Yeah, for sure, man. Dip for life, man. All right, I think it's cleaning up. I'm not exactly sure. I think it is. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into it and hope for the best. Fingers crossed. But yeah, Jeff, tell me, Jeff, tell me, is this laggy? Am I clean? Are you getting a fresh copy here or what's going on? All right, jump into it. Justin Frytz, my man. I'm gonna start at high school. You grew up in Indiana, bro.
Yeah, middle of nowhere, Indiana. The really frustrating part is most of my life I was about 2 miles from cable internet, and so like I didn't even have full like 56K dial up, if you understand what that used to be like.
Uh, yeah,
And
yeah.
like I'd get like 32K. So like I never had fast internet or anything like that. So I grew up in the middle of nowhere in cornfields of Indiana.
And went to the high school is Hamilton Heights High School.
Yeah, it's where I went to all my grade school. It was just a regional school district in Indiana. Nothing too fancy back in the day. We
Oh,
had the
I
typical tractor days where everyone drove their tractor to school. But
nice, dude. My sister lives in North Carolina. And they did that, and I always say to him, I was like, "You did what?"
yeah, that's a typical rural thing to do. It's like, okay, it's a big farmer school. You drive your tractor to school. There's occasionally someone that rode a horse. But it is what it is. It
Mm.
was the rural life of Indiana.
What is Business Professionals of America? How did that influence?
That was something I really got into in high school. Um, it was a competition thing that they looked at business plans, and you went around and you learned different concepts and built presentations to try and win uh, meetups that focused on different things. And it was a unique thing that allowed me to get out and go and experience different things other than just typical sports.
And so I have to think that must have led you. Um, sorry, I'm having full capture. Anyway, let's get back to it. So did that lead to that first business, which Atomic Internet Gaming? Now you had said to me it's an internet cafe, but it was way more than that.
Yeah, I mean, like it was.
I feel like there was some really cool LAN parties happening at this place.
Yeah, like that was really the extent of it. It was essentially like a modern cafe or a modern arcade. So we had, gaming computers, Xbox, PlayStations. Um, you know, we had a pool table. So like just different ways of entertainment and things that, a lot of the teenage kids and local people like to do. So, it was a good time. I had that for 2.5 years. And we really just broke even most of the time. Like it wasn't anything that could really grow and scale. And as more people got faster internet, it kind of phased out. So, it was a good learning experience. And I moved on from that and went to college because I started that when I was 16.
And I have to think that was that your first entry into being an entrepreneur?
It's like probably the first like official one.
Okay. Yeah.
Like there were probably other things that I did younger than that, like I did school fundraisers and I was always usually one of the top few that, did the school fundraisers.
Oh, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
There was probably other side things that I did and slung.
And you worked a couple jobs before you started the Atomic Cafe. And one of the quotes that you said you kind of started the Atomic Cafe because you didn't like work.
Yeah, I mean, I started out when I was young. I would go in with my mother to her job. She was a bookkeeper at a retail store, and I'd go in there. I started probably about 9, 10 years old, just doing random like tasks around the store for them. And they, pay me in gift cards or, something to, reward me for the work that I was doing. And I got my first job there when I was 15 and like actually paid job. And, at that point, I got tired of, driving, at that point, 45 minutes for a little more than hourly wage. And, I was like, I wanted to do something different other than just the hourly wage job. And I got the idea for the internet cafe when I went and visited my cousins in Chicago, because they would go to one, and it was nothing like Indianapolis had ever seen before. So I was like, you know what, I want to try this. And so I built a business plan, and I went to a couple people, and ultimately my grandmother is the one that funded most of it. And
way to go, Grandma.
Yeah, she led me down that path. So, it's definitely where I got my start and, what I like to do. But, she funded that first one, allowing me to really get that bug of entrepreneurship and foray a couple times into it before I got into it really full time 8 years ago.
And you have a friend in there, and I believe you're friends with him today, Colton. If it's okay to mention,
Colton.
Yeah, Colton Cooper. Because in your yearbook, you willed your business knowledge.
Yeah, Colton. God, I haven't talked to him probably not much since college. He was another guy from back then. He was a really big business minded kid, and he went on to do some things himself. I don't know what he ended up doing. I think ultimately
he owns an excavator. Looks like he's doing very well. So your high school willed of business knowledge and really put him on the right path. So my man is doing well. You switched up. Now when I found your college, I was like, wait, what? Wait, why did he go to the aeronautical? But then I did a little deeper dive, and it had a David O'Malley College of Business. So I have to think you chose that because it had a business and not that it was in Daytona Beach, right?
Well, so while the school is based there, I actually went through their what they call international school, which is actually, they had a branch in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to college, I went the traditional route. And since I was already somewhat in technology because of the cafe, I majored in computer engineering and computer engineering science at Purdue. And, I didn't really feel like it was my calling. Like I really struggled to learn knowledge from a book or from a classroom. And it was during that time I really started to
Feeling.
understand, like I was more of a hands-on learner and self-taught myself a lot how to do a lot of things. And I realized that traditional college in that aspect really wasn't my avenue to pursue a career. And so that's when I changed it up and I was looking for something more interacting, hands-on. And, I'd always liked aircraft and flying in general. And
So you did go for the aeronautic.
yeah, I have my pilot's license.
Let's go.
So yeah, so I was actually I was going for my commercial license, and I was attending Embry-Riddle for my bachelor's degree to go with it. And because they have a bachelor's degree that when you complete your pilot's licenses, you get credits towards your bachelor's degree. So that's what I was attending Embry-Riddle for, was that license component to go with my bachelor's. And so I was flying at the local airport, getting my license hours in. And when the Super Bowl came to Indianapolis, the airport that I was flying at felt that they needed to change their name to be more appealing to all the people coming into town. And unfortunately, under FAA regulations, that if you change your name, you got to change and apply for a new flight certificate.
No.
And
Oh my
under
God. So it's
FAA rules, that
start over.
yeah, I had to start over. And so I had lost nearly 40 hours of instrument flight time towards my instrument rating, and I couldn't obtain any more loans to redo it. So I was left between a rock and a hard place. Like I couldn't sue the federal government over it. Like those are the rules. And, you know, I could try and go after the airport, but I didn't really have a whole lot of money at that point. So I was really struggling and figuring out what to do next.
So what was the college like in Dayton? I have to think it must be slightly.
I
It's
was only
nice
there
though, right?
once.
That warm weather.
Yeah, I was only there once. It was a pretty nice campus. They do a lot of aeronautical engineering and pilots and stuff out of there, but it wasn't. It was nearly 3 or 4 times the cost to go there than attending the local one in Indianapolis. So I was like, I can't go further into debt just to go out of state to a university. So
It's hard these days. I mean, even for like, at one point now, when people are at it yourself, you're kind of I want to learn it on my own, trial and error, and so I it's so expensive, and it really shouldn't be. I feel like each of the states should at least offer a free college, like their
well,
state college or something. Oh, I don't want to get too that debate.
yeah.
I don't really like the fact that people go into debt to learn a skill that they're contribute to their own and etc.
Well, that's why I like Purdue in Indiana, because the previous governor took over the administration of the school and cut out a lot of unnecessary classes, so you could obtain a bachelor's degree in 3 years.
Nice.
So, like, that's one of the reasons why I liked Purdue, but I wish more schools would copy that. But it's turning into too much of a business.
It's yeah, essentially, and it's like people are profiting, and it's like, hey, good luck. If you make it, you make it. If not, it's your own fault. Oh, that's not. It's terrible. So all
Exactly.
right, so here's all right. So you went through college, and it's funny because I found this very ironic because your quote said, "I don't like working for people," and in your nature, I could tell you don't like working for people. But you've worked for some pretty heavy hitters. HP, Microsoft, Michael Store, Samsung, and Office Depot. Not in-store sales positions. These are pretty heavy positions. Tell me about your foray through those, because you basically did like a year at each.
Yeah, I mean, like after college, I was really trying to find some sort of career path that could get me out of debt and, um, you know, give me some sort of career direction, because without having a pilot's license, it's like, okay, I have a degree in aviation that I don't know what to do with. I tried applying for jobs with like aviation companies, but it didn't matter. And that's where I had always done sales. And so I just started taking sales roles directly with tech companies. And because I understood tech, I knew tech, and, I could sell. So, it was something that, gave me an income to support myself and, pay most of my bills. And that allowed me to get a footing under myself and figure out what direction I was going to go, and I worked. Michael's was where I actually started, as a teenager. And then I went back in college as a part-time gig to just have extra income. I was doing their early morning stocking shifts, unloading trucks and whatnot.
Oh, so you actually did work like yeah. So
yeah.
I just find it ironic because you were like, I don't want to work for people. And then you went to work for all these massive companies. And it's just like, all right. So now you went through this, you had your jobs, you did the thing, you hated every minute of it. I know you did.
Yeah.
And then you said, oh, you know what? Real estate looks good.
So like,
that was such a pivot. Wait. First. When did you move to Connecticut? How long ago? Because you weren't in real estate in Indiana, but you were in Connecticut.
No, so let me take a step back here. So, those sales jobs in the tech sector, led me in the direction of getting a corporate job in retail. And that led me to Office Depot in Boca Raton, Florida. And so I moved down there I was there for 4 years or 3 years, I should say. And that gave me like corporate business experience. So I was running about $60 to $80 million in product categories for Office Depot. So when you walked into any Office Depot store and you walked down a tech aisle and you saw a group of products that are similar, I managed those groups of products.
Oh, okay.
And everything is sorted with them, from supply chain to ad planning to business management to the numbers associated with their sales. So I had to manage and be responsible for that as part of a group. And at that point, I was there and they were going through, like every other retail store, a lot of turmoil in the mid 2015 to 2020. And they did some downsizing, and unfortunately I was laid off. And so at that point I had been married for almost a year. And we were like, oh, what are we going to do? My wife didn't have a career yet. She was trying to figure out a direction that she was going to go.
Right.
And, I was like, okay, I had been looking for another job to further pursue my career, accelerate my career in corporate retail, and I hadn't found anything. So we moved back to Indiana, where I was from, and that's when I got into real estate in Indiana. So I was in real estate in Indiana for 2 years. And then my wife actually got into medical research in Indianapolis and got an opportunity to come out to Yale and work for Yale. So that's how we ended up in Connecticut.
Oh, okay. Yale's a great. Oh, I hate Yale. And the reason why, and I grew up in New Haven because I am well aware of Yale's politics and things and how they don't pay taxes and a lot of things that are going on. And I really hate Yale. However, they really do treat their workers pretty good, and they pay them very well. When you work for Yale, you're in good shape.
Yeah, they do pay them pretty well, and there's a union involved with a lot of the hourly workers. So like it's definitely, if you can get in there, it's good, but it can be a rough work environment in a lot of departments. It goes with the pay. So she was there for a couple of years, and she pivoted and moved into something else. that's where, it brought us out here. And we've been here since 2019.
Yep.
And, it's definitely influenced us in the direction of our careers for sure being here.
So now you're doing real estate. Obviously, it's again, didn't like it. Started a new company, and I want to talk about it, cannabis business. I don't even know if I would like talk my Facebook. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, this podcast. I mean, we have a lot of things against this. I'm looking at the video feed, and it's really laggy on top of it. So I don't know how to, like, I'm hoping that the output is actually clear and free, but we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Technology, you can't do anything about it.
And it's the internet, because like I said, I ran it, like, it's funny. It's just, I feel like it's just my luck. The one day that I think that, it's gonna, this is one of my favorite episodes talking about. All right, so let's get into cannabis. Why did you get into cannabis? That's the most riskiest thing. It's illegal technically, but sort of okay. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm good at real estate, but the emotions that go with it are really draining for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that's where, like, I'll probably get back into real estate at some point from a investor side of it on my own. But, like, I'm phasing out of doing work for traditional residential real estate. I'm doing commercial right now and helping a lot of other cannabis companies with their real estate, while I focus on my own cannabis businesses. But to get back to your question, it was during COVID. My wife and I were, we had a lot of emotional things going on like everybody else. And, I didn't know if what real estate was going to look like or how it was going to support us, because I had no income and I didn't foresee when I was going to have that, so we had saw that, cannabis had become legal in Massachusetts. So we were like, okay, there's got to be something behind it, because there's a medical claim to it. So, and Angie, my wife, being a doctor, she started looking into the medical benefits and everything else associated with it at that time.
I did not know she was a doctor. I knew a little bit about her, but online for her is not a lot.
No.
So that's news to me that she's a doctor. So that makes sense now why she's working at Yale.
Yeah. She was a medical doctor back in Venezuela, and she came here to be a doctor as well. And she decided more so she wanted to get on the research side of it, versus the practitioner side. So, that's the path that led her down to where she's at now doing, she's actually doing medical research on cannabis too. So that was partly why we got into this all, was because we found by trying the cannabis in Massachusetts, like, we started to understand the health benefits and everything. Mm-hmm. And I started growing at home as a hobby and understanding the different strains and the science behind it to use it medicinally myself. And, consequently I lost, 45 pounds by, medicinally using cannabis correctly. So, that's where, once we learned that it was going to become legal here in 2021, I made the decision. I was like, I'm not necessarily happy in real estate. I see where it's going from a business perspective, and I didn't feel it was something I could support my family with long term. And so that's where I started to pivot, and I was like, okay, getting into cannabis I knew it was going to be a really hard uphill battle to begin with, just because of the nature of the industry. But, you're building something that nobody has really built before you. You have generalized ideas of how to do things. Like, there's obviously a lot of business acumen and things that you learn in other industries that you can apply in cannabis, but it doesn't always apply the same. And there was something that I learned right after I went to college. I went through a program called Co-Room in Seattle, and it was a 2-week, like, in-depth thought business boot camp. And one of the things that they taught and really drilled into us that was fail fast, fail forward. And, it goes in line with something that Cody Sanchez says about one of her mentors is you have to make decisions quickly. Otherwise, the people that sit on it, will spend time and ruminate before, they've come to an answer, and you've already found 3 ways to do it wrong and move on doing it cheaper. So, that's where we saw this as an opportunity to pivot and get into it. And we've learned a lot of things along the way and made a lot of connections in individuals and experience in the cannabis industry that has put us in a position to be, I think, one of the most connected and knowledgeable groups of licensees in the state. I have a lot of people that come to me for, like I said, real estate and understanding of if they're out of state. I was literally speaking to a guy yesterday that wanted to learn more about Connecticut's license structure. So he found me on LinkedIn, sent me a message, and I was going back and forth with him, and he's an investor. And so I'm actually meeting him in about 5 hours. So, it's crazy how this industry is developing and really growing as a business.
So one of the things that I've noticed is in the state is not being helpful for you. Just what it sounds like to me. So you're dealing with a current obstacle, and it's not a small, and let me just jump over this road. It seems to me like it's a moving obstacle, taller than you can jump. And if you don't make this jump timed correctly, you're going to be in pickle. I mean, if you don't mind talking about that, tell me what's going on.
Yeah. So we have my wife and I have a partner, a soul, and, we became friends several years ago through someone that worked with me in real estate. And, she got into this with us as she qualified under the state social equity program. So that gave us certain, benefits as a license group, from, application fees to license fees, and ultimately access to lending from the state, which, is great. We're really appreciative of them, offering this. It's just with the state comes red tape and bureaucracy, and takes forever to accomplish anything. And that's where we were counting on a loan from the state, and it's just taking too long. So now we're having to find alternative financing so we can stand up our manufacturing license that we have, that allows us to manufacture cannabis goods in Connecticut. So that's where I've been seeking alternative financing solutions for the past 3 weeks to get this license up and going, because we're on a clock and, it's ticking. We're currently building out our facility with our contractor, because we were able to raise some money early on. And, ultimately, I think I've potentially lined up some options this week. So we'll see if I'm able to get them closed so we can keep moving forward. But, I'm always looking for additional investment options to allow us to scale, because we have 2 businesses. One is in logistics and distribution, and the other is the manufacturing component. Mm-hmm. So that's where our logistics and distribution business is up and going right now. We'll have actually deliveries later this week that we have to do.
Hey, let's go.
I
thought that was the holdup.
No. So like the distribution business is comprised of 2 things. You have the cannabis transporting, which is what's operating right now. We move products around the state for everyone. For a couple of clients. And then the other component is we're trying to stand up doing hemp infused beverage distribution. So hemp infused beverage is a new product that's a state legalized this last year that is low dose THC beverages sold through liquor stores and at dispensaries.
Oh, okay.
So you could go to I would say there's probably about 600 or 700 stores in the state that carry the THC beverages. Most of them are seltzers. We are trying to source alternative beverages. I've got an Arnold Palmer that I'm looking to carry. I've got a raspberry lemonade. I've got raspberry tea.
Are you
Like there's a
and you're
couple.
manufacturing these, right?
No, these this is on just on the distribution side. So these are all products that other companies or out of state companies have developed, and we're
Oh,
just
I
going to be the
see. I see where
distributor.
you're going. Okay, so you're trying. So you're getting. Okay, now I understand. Now you want to be, Bartle something. It's out in Milford. That distributor for all alcoholic products. Want to be that for marijuana
Yeah,
products.
well, it would be for hemp infused beverages. So we would be the first dedicated hemp infused beverage distributor in the state and one of the first few in the country. I know of a couple in Texas, a couple in Arizona, and New Mexico that are standing up just dedicated hemp infused beverage distributors. Now that it's legal here, we wanted to fill that void because the cannabis manufacturers can also make these products. So we wanted to facilitate the cannabis licensees that were already moving product for, if they chose to make these products, we wanted to also facilitate getting them into liquor stores. So that's kind of the business model, is a hybrid aspect where we're using our same assets to move either cannabis products or distribute hemp infused beverages to liquor stores.
Okay. So now, so what is the future looking like now?
Well, this week is uh pretty stressful.
Oh,
We're trying to lock down this financing so we can continue our build out of our manufacturing license. Our manufacturing license, we're taking a unique, view on where we'll have our own manufacturing space where we're doing our own thing, but we're also subleasing space out to brands from other states that want to come here and manufacture their products. So, we're going to be making
that's a good
revenue.
idea.
Yeah, so we're diversifying our revenue streams. So we have a large building that will have roughly 2,000 square feet that's dedicated to our manufacturing, and then another 10,000 square feet that we're leasing out to multiple companies that are operators in other states that want to come here and make their consumer packaged brands.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a license to do that here, so they're coming, leasing the use of our license in the space in our building to manufacture their
I
products.
feel like that's super attractive to them.
In some cases it is, it's not for everyone. But there are a lot of brands that like to have complete control over their SOPs and their processes. So that's the ones we're catering to. So they come in, build out a space under our license, and they use their own employees to manufacture their goods under our license.
Perfect.
Yeah. So there's less risk in that aspect because they're established brands that are already going to immediately do revenue, and we just collect a percentage off the top of their gross sales.
Well, listen, man, you have a mountain to climb, but there's one thing that I've learned about you doing your research is that you're going to succeed. It's gonna be kind of a pain in the ass, but I think you're gonna make it. I don't think you're gonna make it. You know what? I know you're gonna make it. I think you're gonna knock this out of the park. I think you're pioneering a new road, and when you're building a new road to something, lots of little rocks and surprises underneath there before you dig.
Like there's always curveballs coming at us in the cannabis industry so far, just because DCP at the state level, they're learning just like we are.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of difficulties with them and how they interpret things, and how the industry maybe interprets it otherwise, because the industry has experience in the language and the processes, and there's just a lot of things left open to interpretation.
And that's where they're kind of confused. I want to pivot real quick. I want to talk about your wife a little bit.
Yeah.
So okay, so she's from Venezuela.
She is. Yeah.
Yeah. You married in March 2016?
We did. Yeah.
Yep. And now you have a son.
We do. We have a 6-year-old.
So I having children myself, it is one of the best things in the world. Really, really is. How are you back? Still being?
I've been his primary caregiver since he was 3 months old, simply because I was in real estate. So I had the flexibility to really take care of him.
Mhm.
While my wife went and did the normal 9 to 5. So for the first, almost until he was a year old, really a year old, I think, I was carrying around a car seat every day in real estate. I was showing houses carrying a car seat. And even after that, I was the one taking him to daycare, picking him up from daycare, and working in between.
Yep.
It allowed me to have the flexibility that I needed to provide an income for the family and still take care of him, because while we were here in Connecticut, we didn't have any family. It was just my wife and I. So it was how we did things. It certainly made it challenging, simply because during COVID he was diagnosed with autism.
Oh,
So
yep.
he is light years ahead of where he was at 4 years old.
So happy to hear that, because I know that there's ways of, I don't have first experience, but speaking to other parents that have that the same experience as you are, saying there are ways to, so tell me how did you for other parents that have autistic.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been easy. He's a level 3 nonverbal. So he
But before what is a level 3 that mean?
so autism has 3 different levels of I guess severity. Level 1 is a normal looking child. They interact, and you might see some behavioral things or social things that are a little off, but for the most part they communicate and interact like every other child. A level 2 is half nonverbal, like they communicate some words or some sentences, but don't really speak a lot. And for the most part, like they just don't speak at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then level 3 is just nothing whatsoever. The easiest way I can explain it is, when you have a child and he's going through that early developmental stages, at about 18 months old, they're getting into everything, but they're not quite like interacting on a speaking level, but they could, get in any kind of trouble they want. And until he was about 4 years old, that was the level of development that he had. So we had a 4-year-old with the developmental stages of a early 2-year-old. And it really made things complicated. We finally got him into ABA therapy, and that started progressing him. We got him potty trained, and that has slowly progressed things. We found another facility that has really found a unique therapy, a way of teaching him, and he has completely changed and adapted. But
love it.
The biggest thing I've learned in the last 2 years that affects autism is diet, because autistic individuals have gut problems. And so you don't absorb nutrients the way you should. Therefore,
really,
your brain doesn't get all the nutrients it needs to function and develop, on top of, all the other reasons that cause autism. So we cut out all processed foods from our house. We make all of our meals. We make our own bread using corn flour, non-processed, everything.
And are you seeing that as working now, or you see the effect?
Oh, absolutely, night and day. So like when we started also adding what are called methylated vitamins, methylated vitamins are like the natural form of the vitamin that your body can use.
Oh,
you buy a traditional vitamin off the shelf, your body has to take a lot of those forms, convert it into something else before it can use it. And so that process is called methylation. But 44% of the population in the United States can't genetically do that process. And most people on the spectrum or have ADHD cannot do that process. So if you take methylated vitamins, then your body can immediately start using those nutrients, doesn't have to do the methylation process, and suddenly your body starts to develop naturally and you feel 10 times better. So when we added those vitamins in, he just took off developmentally.
Love it. And then you just taught me something today, because I need to get more magnesium in my diet. And I was researching the vitamins, and just like you said, it didn't seem like it was the right off the shelf stuff. Just didn't seem right for me, and I honestly didn't trust it, to be honest. I just didn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't something that I wanted to trust.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of synthetic vitamins that are used in those off the shelf vitamins that most people's bodies can't use. It's all man-made products.
Yeah, and then one of the piece of advice I got was that you are literally just peeing out. You are creating expensive urine.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if it looks like a highlighter, yeah, you're just taking it in and peeing it out.
Just getting rid of it. So almost like a scam. I'm getting word that my mic is not exactly.
No, you're good on my end.
Yeah, no, I know you're good. I'm good on your end, but they're saying it's very barely audible. And then I'm also noticing that there's okay, so I have a bigger bit rate for the audio now, so hopefully that works. But we're also having internet problems too. I think it has to do with the snowstorm or something. Must be.
Maybe.
Yeah, but so tell me now. You have a Venezuelan wife, and I looked up some stuff here. Arepas, Vixos.
Arepas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And this I'm probably gonna butcher this, but cachapas.
Cachapas.
Sweet corn pancakes, typically paired with soft cheeses.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the word. Yeah, I can't think of the Spanish word right now.
And then I also this is the one I like the most. And when I looked at it, it's sopa de mandango.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Basically, it's a soup with beef.
Yeah, no, that's not something my wife does.
No,
never had that.
And then empanadas is a thing.
Oh yeah,
empanadas. My God, dude, that's like my banging favorite. I love.
Yeah, my mother-in-law moved in with us last year. She came here from Venezuela legally, and she moved in with us to help us with Cooper, and she makes fantastic empanadas. Like, dude, so I love my wife's food, but like my mother-in-law's food is really good.
Dude, I literally just got a shot of hunger pain when you said grandma moved in and started making food, because every time I think about my grandma, it's like, when she makes, I'm Italian, so you know how that goes. So it's kind of the same kind of thought process. Like, you're so skin and bones, eat something, The other thing I like about the cuisine from Venezuela is that they use very fresh, natural, no play around ingredients.
Yeah.
No box stuff, none of that.
No, they don't really do anything processed down there. So like it's honestly, it's the more I learn about things and apply like getting rid of processed things, and I look at the labels and everything, it's like my body can't take it in either. Like I stopped doing the processed foods. Like I was having gut issues. Like I was going to the hospital like 2021, 22. I had a CAT scan, a colonoscopy, just because like my digestion wasn't working right, and they're like, what's going on? And it's like, it was because I was taking in all these processed chemicals. Like when you look at bread flour, if it says enriched, or what's the other word, I can't think of the other word on flour, but that's a man-made chemical, and my body can't like digest it, and so it's really screwing with my digestion. I cut it all out and started taking methylated vitamins, and voila, I'm back to a normal, like I feel like a normal person. But it was all the man-made like phosphates and everything else that's in processed foods that my body just couldn't digest anymore.
And your wife, being a doctor, probably recognized that immediately.
Yeah, not necessarily. It wasn't something we really understood what was going on. She went through medical school the same way anyone else does, and nutrition's not something they really teach you there. You have to go and specialize as a nutritionist to really understand that stuff. And that's not something she understood either at that point. Now we do, because of our son. Like, we've gone down rabbit holes of like nutrition and how like things to look at. But back then, no. And we didn't really understand.
and I try to keep politics out of this, and I don't want to speculate, talk about too much about politics, but I am very happy that there is a shift in our thought process and information on the food that we are eating in this country because
Yeah,
you hit it perfectly. I
say what
mean,
you will about the man, but a lot of the shit he's saying is turning out to be right.
it's wild.
Like the food dyes, like he has a point. Like it was banned by the FDA in cosmetics in the late 90s or early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And but suddenly it could be allowed in foods. Like, come on.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right.
There's truth to stuff somewhere. If it's out there, there's always a fraction of it. You just got to dig deeper to understand if it is or it isn't. And too many times people anymore just see that surface, take it as it is, and assume it's God.
Yeah.
So
no, you're right. All right. I don't want to go deep because me and you could do this. We can go this way, but we're not going to today.
I grew up in the Midwest, and I felt more left in Indiana, but like I come here and it's like, okay, I'm definitely more center compared to Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I like my guns, but I like my marijuana.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like I said, I don't want to go too far into this because it gets so divided, and I don't want to. Brian Barnacle commented. He said, "Grow." This is something Brian Barnacle is a very passionate about. He had him on the cast last week. We talked about this, which matches what we just spoke of. He said, "Grow food forest." Mm-hmm. And I told him a little story about when I was up in Vermont and how we came across an apple tree just randomly. It was a golden delicious apple tree, and they were small apples, but they were just there. And then my kid said, "Can I grab one and eat one?" And I was like, because it was that initial instinct that whatever is fresh out there is dirty. Don't eat it. And then I was like, no, you know what? Yeah. And I grabbed one. They grabbed one, and it was exactly what I thought it was going to taste like. Delicious. And growing a food forest, I think that we all should take a piece of our land and just grow food, because
I want to, like, if like I want to sell my current house, and when I buy another one closer to my office, like I want some land to go with it, because I want to just, like, I have a space for a garden outside, but it's not very big. It doesn't produce a lot. And the time it takes, because it doesn't produce a lot, doesn't really offset with what I have going on. So I'd love to have a bigger garden that I can,
I'm trying to talk Brian into creating a garden. He's a soil expert.
Oh, yeah, I talked to the guy too. He's definitely very knowledgeable about all that.
Oh my gosh. So I told him, I was like, man, people will pay you to run their gardens, on a monthly basis. So Dad's in Business Group, you discovered that how long ago?
Ooh, I think David Haberfield turned me on to it back in.
God, he just knows everybody, doesn't he?
Yeah, like we started talking back in 2021 when we started looking to raise money for our cannabis license. We were looking at the cultivation, and maybe it was 22, might have been 22, but
I remember that. I remember you guys kind of publicly talking a little bit about that. I remember.
Yeah. We were looking to raise money for the cultivation license, and it was really expensive and just wasn't his interest at that time. But ultimately, we reconnected about a year later after that, and he was actually one of our first investors in our logistics company, and believing in our vision and what we're doing. So, he has been immensely helpful in introducing me to this group and, helping me get me going. And then, during that time, at the same time, Neil Conlon was really, helpful with me personally and in business, helping me get, things going and getting the business up and operating. So I'm thankful for his guidance during that time. And, that has really led me down the path to where I am right now.
Yeah, same for me. Neil is, when it comes to coaching, giving you the straight shit, which I like a lot from him, and motivation, accountability, sales, that guy knows. And he not only knows, but he can pinpoint your issue almost immediately. And I think it's because it's probably a common issue with everyone, because sometimes it's hard for us to kind of get out of our own way. Maybe is that the way? I might be not the way, but yeah, he's an inspirational person. Somebody that really turned my business from hey, and I feel like he's probably done the same for you.
Yeah, he definitely gave me a lot of experience to draw from. It certainly, even a lot in this last couple of weeks where I, was kind of going through my ups and downs in the cannabis process, and thought we were at a new low, and it's like, okay, I gotta figure it, think about what I had, like the tasks that I have to do, and go out and find money.
That's it.
And I have potentially found a large investment that I need to move things forward, and I'm hoping that the second one that I found yesterday will lead to the remaining amount that I need. So,
I fucking
you know,
I put a quote on my Facebook feed. It's basically, it was kind of a question and a thing. Does a crackhead say, I'm not going to get high today because I don't have any money? No, he goes out and he makes it happen. Don't be out hustled by a crackhead.
that's a good one. I think I've seen you post that because I've
It's
heard
not
that.
something that it's not something that I came up with. I found it. My kids are calling me video chat because they're pretty much delayed, or maybe school cast. But anyway, so they keep like buzzing.
Yeah, mine's the same way.
So, but yeah, so that is a really like kind of thing to sort of think about. That because I grew up in New Haven, so I seen that shit firsthand. Those guys do not give up, and it's weird to take inspiration from a crackhead, but it's the truth. You have to push. You have to, no matter. You're right. Your back is rolled back. You just got to dig deep and get there. And so that's so impressive, bro. You have, like I said, you have a mountain to climb, but I really believe you're gonna make it. And then when you crest that hill and you're on your way, dude, you're gonna have something very, very special. So did you I don't know if did I see you at the mastermind event or
No, I was tight on cash this month. I had to make sure I could make my bills, and
no,
so
yeah,
I
I totally hear
opted
that.
not to go.
I'm on board with that. When I first started my business, I would go out and Uber. It's horrible,
Yeah.
but you do what you have to do to make ends meet. So talk to me. Are you gonna make it to? Did you grab Dogman stuff?
No, I haven't yet.
All right, let me talk to Bennett. Let me take care of that for you because I got to figure out a way. We got to get that 61, and then I'm gonna have him put. What do you need? Two, right? One for you, one for your son.
Just be two of us. I don't know if he'd do it or not. He's never been to the movie theater before, so I'll have to see about that.
Yeah,
But let me know what the sponsorship thing is, because like the other business that we didn't touch on, because I haven't really put a whole lot out there, is my mother-in-law is using our assets to do a business really on the nights and weekends, and that's at-home salt delivery.
Oh yes, dude. I'm so sorry. I totally forgot. I did want to talk about that because I have a neighbor who does water softening, and she is older. And my immediate thought was like, "Oh, this is a fantastic idea. This is great. They just do it all for you. Just pay them monthly, and it's almost the same as buying salt directly."
Yeah, so we've tweaked our model with that a little bit. So we have different pricing structures now, but that's something we're trying to stand up, because when you own vehicle assets, you got to always keep them moving, otherwise you're losing money on them.
Yep.
So, that's where we were looking for something to do on the nights and weekends. And I saw this type of franchise opportunity that was just being created. So I jumped on it, and, it's something where we have these proprietary devices that monitor the salt levels through software. And we just show up every month. The system automatically schedules the delivery of your salt and lets you know when we're going to be there, and we just drop the salt off or take it inside if that's something you guys, as a client, you schedule.
Can you imagine if you like crush it completely and then you're just looking at the cannabis business and getting, you know what, this is not worth it, we're just going to do this, and it turns into $1 million idea? It'd be wild. I'm of the same mindset as Cody Sanchez. You got to have multiple business streams, and that's where I'm trying to build a couple of different things. Ultimately, my goal is to go back to Indiana and cannabis as well, because they're just now starting the process and looking at legalization there. So my goal is to levy my contacts and my family back in Indiana to get into the businesses there as well. As soon as they take it off, what Schedule C or whatever schedule it's on, it's like, you know, it's gonna open the floodgates. I don't know if Trump's gonna do it because he's not one of those guys. So
I don't know. He had a delegation at the MJ BizCon in November,
oh,
which is the largest cannabis events in the country. So I don't know if they'll do anything about it. They may support the banking, but it probably won't be until his second half of his term.
yeah, that makes
But
sense because he's got a lot to do.
Yeah, and I think once all the cards fall as far as all the cuts, and they're looking at, okay, how can we, you know, improve cash flow to the government? They may look at it and levy a small tax. So, you know, it's probably next year or the year after.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh my God, Justin, dude, thank you so much for jumping in. They're at 9 a.m., top of the hour. We're ready to kind of go. So I want you to think about, there's two things I want to hear from you. Is the first thing is like, if you saw your 18-year-old self back in high school and right now, sent you back in time, what would you tell?
Don't waste your time on college.
Dude, you are not kidding, bro. You are not kidding.
I don't believe in it anymore. It to me, unless you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer,
Yes.
or, you know, something specialized, it's not worth it.
No, yeah, because and then somebody had told me once. They said, "Oh, well, you know, college is not just the education; it's about making long-term network connection." I'm like, man, you could do that anyhow, anywhere.
Yeah,
You know?
no.
Yeah,
It's taken me a while, but ultimately, like those conversations that I've had around the two investors, like that came from me building a network like Neil taught me.
exactly.
Like I went out and built a huge network over the last 3 years of anyone that has to do with cannabis or business. And I've worked it nonstop trying to find the leads of connections.
You would think that you're on your own when it comes to people inside your industry because you say to yourself, "Oh, we're competitors, so he's not going to help me." But that's, you know, and anybody who knows me and watches my stuff, I very timidly reached out to Craig Morrell, and he didn't even hesitate to help me. He didn't even hesitate, and I think the deal is that there's a lot of work for everybody out there, and no reason to be, you know, collaboration will do better than competition.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of licenses that, you know, they're small local people just like we are.
Yep.
That we're all working together. Like we have similar license types, but we don't see each other as competition because we're all looking to do something a little different.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Even though we have the same type of license.
Yep, 100%. 100%. Bro, thank you so much for joining, man. This is amazing, and this was a really good conversation. Really, really was.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your time and the opportunity. I've enjoyed it talking, and you know, anyone that has any questions, like, you know, with any of my businesses, if you're interested in learning more, don't hesitate to message me.
And don't forget about the new salt softener, water softener salt.
Yeah.
Dude, that's, I think,
simplysaltct.com.
Simplysaltct.com. I will link that. Make sure, hey, do me a favor, text me all the links to all your businesses when I do the description for the YouTube channel. It's there, so we can get some SEO pumping that way too. Not going to be a big push, but
okay.
Thanks again, Justin, bro. We're gonna see you. I'll see you at the next event, or the next time we talk, or somewhere on the Dads and Business stuff.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, man. That was Justin Frytz, Justin Frytz, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I know the video was laggy. I was watching it. There's just nothing on my end that I could have done to fix that. Unfortunately, I can still see it's a little laggy. I'm not sure. We have a snowstorm here, so that could be affecting the internet, perhaps. But I would just want to leave you with this one thought. Success is not about luck. It's about consistency, adaptability, relentless execution, and keep building, keep pushing. The success will come. It sometimes comes in a month. It sometimes comes in 3 years. But the grind is real. Do the grind. It's rare to open your doors to a flood of people. Very, very rare. So you have to think about, like Justin said, outside of the box. Find ways to get the communication. Find ways to get your business's word out there. But at the end of the day, it is a grind. And the reason why everybody doesn't own a business is because it's hard, and because that grind is real. Thank you guys so much for watching. I think next week, if I looked at my calendar right, we have Eric Schoenberg, who is a injury lawyer from what I see so far. I'm going to do a deep dive on Mr. Schoenberg and see where he is in his world. I have tons of questions for him. So look forward to that next Monday, 8 a.m. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have an amazing rest of your week. Let's get this crushed. Let's get this done. As Chris